Stick around, guys. We got ourselves a nice little deep dive here.
Work says you watch, I commit the crime.
Oh my God.
No. There's no talk.
How are you guys doing? Seriously, how are you guys doing tonight? How are you guys doing today? Of course, as you guys know, I do most of my videos at night. Of course, tonight is Thursday night. Tonight is also the same night in which a toothless, old, feeble-minded president is going to be giving a prime time address, which, by the way, is going on while I'm talking. But then again, though, I don't really and truly view him as, how do I say, a president that's really and truly, worth adhering to, because he's not really and truly a president to be adhered to, in my opinion. Don't worry, YouTube. I'm not going to be bringing up the certain trigger words that demonetize videos like you guys did in 2020. But still, at the same time, though, he's going to be talking about gun control and how he wants gun control and how he wants AR-15s banned. He wants high-capacity magazines banned. And, of course, he's going to want red flag laws. And don't worry, we're going to be talking about a lot of this and why the hell it is that this right here is absolutely stupid and nonsensical, because we have to satisfy a certain base of the country, a very, very small base of the country, which, by the way, just blames the gun and not the actual person who actually did the crime. And, of course, I know some people are probably going to get upset when they get a hold of this video, especially some liberals, and they go ahead and cut it off. But then again, at the same time, though, the same individual is also going to get on a plane tonight and go back to his beach home in Delaware. That's exactly how much he actually really and truly cares about this issue. He really and truly does not. Now, guys, this is part 2 in a series that I'm doing on guns, gun control, why the Second Amendment is so important. And, of course, we're going to ask the questions of, is disarmament even possible? And also, to go on top of that, why it is that school shooters even exist, and why it is actually more of a cultural problem and a problem at home. But of course, I got to break these down in, of course, separate videos. So in this video right here, we're going to be talking about some of the lies and mistruths that the media likes to throw on us. So let me go ahead and break this down. First of all, we're going to have this little opening period is what we're going to do, where we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on right now. Of course, you guys can always go back and look at the video that I dropped yesterday, which, by the way, YouTube has found a way to once again put my channel in the doldrums. But then again, though, I mean, it is what it is. You know, when you're a conservative content creator, they're probably going to find a way to actually shadow ban you, unless, of course, you had a channel that was already somewhat established. You know, guys like Crowder and, Ben Shapiro and all them, they kind of already had themselves a bit of a loyal following before the old adpocalypse crap. But that right there is another video for the day. So, this is how we're going to do this, guys. We're going to talk about why it is that the Second Amendment is so important in this video. We're also going to be talking about the background check lies and how it is. There's a lot of falsities on that right there. We're also going to talk about how it is that less guns and more, of course, more gun laws just equal more crime. We're also going to be talking about the tyranny factor of why it is that you should have your Second. We're going to be diving into that right there. We're also going to be diving, I'm looking down because I've got this thing scripted out. We're also going to be talking about why it's a bad idea to only have cops with guns instead of actually arming the populace. And also, we're going to end the video talking about why this entire thing is nothing more than culture. I'm going to be previewing the next part. Now, that right there out of the way, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that share button. Also hit that subscribe button. Cut on the notifications. I want you guys to leave a comment. Even if you guys completely disagree with me, leave all the comments in the comment section you want. I really and truly enjoy the banter, and I'd like to get you guys insights. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this. First, when it comes to guns, there is a lot of ignorance. When it comes to the Second Amendment itself, you get takes like this right here.
Away with this anymore. Enough is enough. Enough of you telling us that school shootings are a fact of life when every other country like ours has virtually ended it. Enough of you blaming mental illness and then defunding mental health care in this country. Enough of your thoughts and prayers. Enough. Enough. You will not stop us from advancing the Protecting Our Kids Act today. You will not stop us from passing it in the House next week, and you will not stop us there. If the filibuster obstructs us, we will abolish it. If the Supreme Court objects, we will expand it, and we will not rest until we have taken weapons of war out of circulation in our communities. Each and every day, we will do whatever it takes to end gun violence, whatever it takes. What we will do is not fail the children of this country the way that you have failed us, the generations of Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, and Uvalde. I yield back, Madam Chair.
How that guy just completely left out the entire second half of the amendment where it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Okay, so militias, by the way, those right there would be civilians. You know, guys who serve in the military, guys who got out, you know, guys who also at the same time, just basic gunners, hunters and whatnot. That right there would be your militia, because that right there is what a militia is. National Guard is not exactly a militia. Of course, it's ran by the state, and of course, it's ran by the federal government, so therefore, it would just be an extension of the military and not an actual militia. So, once again, another very, very ignorant take, of course, by another Democrat congressman, who, by the way, probably knows the actual amendment, but because they got such dumbass viewers and such dumbass voters, they don't know that right there, but of course, people with common sense, they obviously know the full. This where it always happens when mass shootings occur, but yet they always tend to ignore all the other mass shootings. Like, for example, there was a mass shooting in Tulsa, Oklahoma today. By the way, the perpetrator who actually did the mass shooting was put down, and as you guys are seeing right now, he wasn't exactly, we'd say, alabaster of color. You know, he was kind of his pigmentation was a little bit darker than than that actual color itself. So it's funny how they always seem to miss that. They always seem to ignore all the shootings that occur in Chicago. They also seem to ignore that 70% of your actual mass shootings occur with pistols and not rifles. I just find it funny that they actually always tend to neglect that little bit of information when they bring up guns. Took me a second, guys, but why is the Second Amendment so important? Why is that? Okay, first of all, the ability to create a militia, obviously to protect yourself, protect the homeland. I mean, guys, there's this nice little video that a YouTube content creator that I watch often by the name of Bob Ager. He's got a very, very good channel called Collative Learning. And don't worry, I'll be leaving the video in either A, the description box or the comment section of this video. Of course, it was a review on the movie Red Dawn. I know you're probably thinking, Red Dawn, what does this have anything to do with it? Well, I highly suggest you guys watch it because in that video, he actually makes a very, very good case after 2 hours why it is that the left should actually embrace gun culture, because to not trust your government is actually more left-wing than right-wing. Yet it's funny that us right-wingers don't trust our government, and by the way, we have very, very good reason to do it. However, we tend to trust our government a lot less when leftist clowns like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Jamia Jayapal and the Cenk Uygurs and all the left-wingers of the world, the anti-American crowd, which is funny because that's who's running the country, is the feelings over facts crowd. That's who the hell's actually running things at this moment in time. That when they're in office, obviously Obama, and of course Bush too. I mean, don't worry. I mean, I'm not going to leave Republicans out of this because some Republicans just may break on this bill that Democrats are trying to get a hold of. They're trying to actually pass. And of course, we got a problem there too. But I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. That the main reason why you have the Second Amendment is to provide a check on the government, personal protection. Also, something else too is that we have the largest freestanding army in the world. Of course, that would be the American gunner. Okay, so nobody in the world has ever thought to invade us. By the way, we have had these two wars on our shores. Of course, those wars are being the American Revolution. Militia was very, very important in that war. Very important in defeating the British. Okay, then we had the War of 1812. Now the militia was not as prevalent, but still very, very prevalent. But we were actually invaded. We fought the British to a draw. Maybe if we had more actual gun owners in the area at that time, maybe that draw would have been an actual victory. You see, that there's another reason why we have the Second Amendment is to protect us from other nations. You see, other nations realize that they don't have a chance once they get on the American homeland. You see, the American homeland's got too many choke points. It's got too many territorial issues. And, of course, there's actually a gun behind just about every blade of grass. But don't worry about that, guys. We'll be talking about that a little bit more in the disarmament chapter of this series. We move to point number 1 of this video, and I know it's taking a little while to do that. But before we do this, I got to make one very quick point. When people talk about the Second Amendment only applying to, like, muskets and stuff, if that right there is the case, then why did it not say the right to bear rifles? Why did it not say the right to bear muskets? Why does it say the right to bear arms? Also, something else, too, when they say that you're not allowed to own a cannon, then why is it that cannons are still legal to buy in some select states? By the way, guys, let's go ahead and dispel lie number 1. So they say that 90% of the country wants background checks. They're saying they want expanded background checks. Here's the thing, though. This is the thing that nobody likes to say. You see, most leftoids, they're not gun owners. Most leftoids would not buy a gun. Most leftoids are actually very, very ignorant on the topic of guns itself because they've never actually purchased a gun. They don't know what the process is. Like, say in the state of North Carolina where I live at, you actually got to fill out a piece of paper to get a handgun permit. You've got to be a certain age to buy a rifle. By the way, when people say that people below the age of 18 don't need to own a gun, I think that's kind of ridiculous because you see most people learn to shoot when they're kids. They learn to shoot when they're very, very young. Okay, what happened in Uvalde, Texas, was an example of a extremely mentally messed up person. And by the way, guys, I'm not in favor of red flag laws because that right there gives the person next door to you who may disagree with you politically, it gives them the ability to actually abuse it. Now, really, really quick, before we move on, I gotta say this. if they were to put said red flag laws in place, then I think there needs to be a harsher punishment for those who falsely, and I mean falsely, tattletelling you or falsely turn you in over nothing, just simply disagreeing with you politically. I think there needs to be a harsher punishment for that right there, because you just snitched on your neighbor for absolutely nothing, basically made a scene out of absolutely nothing, because you disagree with said individual politically. Yeah, people could use this to an advantage, like, I have a dispute with you over this, over our yard, the yard size, the yard sign, all that stuff there. You see, I see what the hell the problems that red flag laws could create. Are you guys starting to pick up on this? That red flag laws could create a lot of unintended problems with a lot of unintended consequences. Not to mention, it would also create mistrust between law enforcement and civilians. But don't worry, we'll get to that right there a little bit later on. Background check that, of course, they keep failing to mention is this little document here. It's called an FFL form. You fill it out. You got to fill it out a certain way. You hand it to the gun salesman. They call a number. That number is this place called NICS, N-I-C-S. It's a division of the ATF. And, of course, if you lie on said background check form, that is actually a oh, wait, that's right. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, he lied on his FFL background check form. But, of course, we did not see him go to prison, as you guys are seeing here. Yeah, he lied on his background check form. This right was reported, I think, in 2020. It was also re-reported in 2021 when they started looking at the actual laptop from health stuff again. And, of course, it was reported again right here recently. So, on this issue of background checks, I hate to tell you guys this way, but background checks already exist. I've already told you it's the FFL form. You got to apply for a permit in some places to get a pistol. Matter of fact, I think it's every place. As a matter of fact, some places you've actually got to write a letter to your county sheriff explaining to them why it is you need a gun. Okay? Which, by the way, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely stupid that you got to go through those actual hoops. But at the same time, the background checks do already exist, and they're already in place. So when I see Cenk Uygur put up tweets and whatnot, I kind of think to myself, once again, just another fat-ass liberal farting out of his mouth. Point number 2. So the old argument of less guns equal lower crime rates, lower murder rates, that right there is kind of bunk. All you guys got to do is take a look at the murder rate in the city of Chicago, look at the murder rates in New York, look at the murder rates all over the country in the bigger cities. All you guys got to do is just take a look at them. So more gun laws do not equal less crime. It actually does not. If anything, the murder rates are actually a lot higher. Of course, a lot of that's got to do with the laws and the culture itself. You see, if you restrict people from actually being able to defend themselves, there's obviously going to be a much, much higher rate of murder, especially as far as good people is concerned. A lot of gang violence. You see, if you allow good people to arm themselves, you stand a better chance of stopping criminals. You see, if criminals are actually attacking people and they're actually getting taken down by somebody in a defensive state, chances are the word's going to get around and crime rates more than likely going to go on down. I hate to say this, but it seems to me like the movie Death Wish, even though it was based on it wasn't even based on a true story. I got a feeling that if you had a bunch of Paul Kerseys walking around, by the way, YouTube, I'm not advocating for that, chances are your crime rates in these bigger cities would actually be a lot lower. Also, something else too, if there is an actual gun there and is actually seen, criminals are going to be more likely than not to actually do anything. Now, of course, if a criminal is desperate, they're going to attack anyways. They're going to actually try to take you down, try to take you over, and try to take your stuff, and possibly even try to kill you. I mean, what's the best way to deter a knife? A gun. I mean, it's pretty well common sense. And of course, guys, like we did in the very, very beginning of this this video, of course, you know, I'm going to go ahead and show you the full clip of exactly what concealed carry can do.
Daddy Crane, I'm a big shot.
So am I.
If you kill me, the headline is going to be Black Guy Kills White Big Shot. And that's the last thing we need when we're trying to elect an African American as president. Dear God.
How about if I just blow your brains out right now?
That doesn't work for me. Work for you?
Daddy, please. Hey.
All right. All right. Watch. Wallet. Gun. Knee. Right foot. Left foot. Thank God for guns.
I know I used William Shatner on that right there, but you see, this right here actually makes a lot of sense, okay? Obviously, I can't get into actual real footage of real people defending themselves. I mean, if I did that right there, YouTube would strike this video, and of course, they'd probably say something like community guideline strike, and of course, that would be strike number 2, and I don't really need that, guys. Right here brings me to point number 3, which, by the way, in my opinion, is, for the most part, really the most important. As you guys are seeing some of these tweets up here, one of these guys put this tweet saying, as a German, I don't understand why you guys need a gun. Hitler, World War II, bro, disarming the Jews, putting them in concentration camps, putting undesirables. That, by the way, includes those homosexuals who claim they have it so bad here in the United States, who, by the way, Adolf Hitler killed. And of course, if they lived in the Middle East, they would get thrown off off the roofs of buildings. You know, a lot of these tweets that these lefties send are very, 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 they have absolutely no actual honest-to-God self-awareness about them. And of course, Jink, of course, he got checked by Tim Pool over this comment, which of course, Tim basically reminded him that, Karl Marx was not in favor of gun control. Of course, lefties try to debunk that. Of course, I haven't actually found the information to debunk that narrative that Tim was actually talking about. But at the same time, though, gun control is actually more of a quip of fascists. Okay, Adolf Hitler, the person that Jink and all these people claim to hate, the person that they claim Donald Trump was, Hitler was about gun control. Benito Mussolini was about gun control. You see, gun control is a thing of fascism. That right there is what it's about. By the way, while we're on this topic, okay, so you don't want Americans armed, but yet you praise the country of Ukraine. By the way, Ukraine is a country with massive gun control. People are not allowed to own weapons in Ukraine. You praised Ukraine for handing out weapons to be able to fight back against the Russians. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the people in Ukraine are not exactly trained to operate those firearms, but the American people are. This right here goes back to what I said at the very, very beginning of the video. Gun owners protect this country. We are a deterrent against actual enemies. Do you guys think that Russia or China actually really and truly wants to invade this country? Do you guys really and truly think that they do? Now, there may be an argument for it, which, by the way, we will discuss in the disarmament video, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But I highly doubt that any of these countries are going to want to do that. But once again, though, we got to highlight the liberal hypocrisy here. Let's praise. Let us please praise Ukraine for handing out weapons, but let us not praise our own people for being armed. Also, something else too. If you really and truly want to be a hypocrite, look no further than your own government. I mean, Joe Biden, every president sends guns out to every country in the world, but yet here in the United States, they don't like it for us to be armed. You guys pick it up on what I'm saying. A lot of this is hypocrisy, and don't worry, we will cover this a little bit more in the disarmament chapter of this actual video series. But once again, the reason number 3 is so that way you have a check on our government, so that way in case it gets tyrannical, we've got a way to fight back. The framers of the Constitution understood that governments could indeed get tyrannical. And of course, as you guys would see right after the American Revolution, you had the French Revolution, which, by the way, is another topic on its own. You got to think about something right quick. If the French people were armed, would the Jacobins have been successful? I want you guys to let that sink in. Also, something else, too. This right here is one of the reasons why I'm putting Bob Ager's video in there. You see, guys, I would love to put videos from other 2A channels in there, but the reason why I'm putting Bob Ager's video, Bob Ager's entire, I say his 2-hour review of Red Dawn in there, is because not only does Bob Ager talk about the left wing needed to embrace gun culture, Bob Ager also brings up in that video that this is one of the biggest deterrents why the Soviet Union in the 1980s refused to actually invade the United States. They were trying to get secrets and whatnot, and they were thinking about it, they were considering it, but they never actually pulled the trigger on an invasion. And I think he pretty much makes the case in that video right there that in the United States we have a lot of preppers, we have a lot of hunters, we have a lot of veterans, people that are armed, and Bob makes that point in that video. So once again, though, I highly advise you guys check out that video when I leave it in the description box for you guys to actually check out. There will also be an article and a link to the Pew Research Center. With that out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and get to point number 4. Number 4, guys, is this right here. Why is it that you only want cops with guns? Why is it you only want the police officers with the guns? Okay, now, guys, check this out. Styx Hexenhammer released a video the other day, okay, and I actually agree with him, and I've kind of evolved on this position myself. I think it would be a better idea for these small towns, especially in these sanctuary counties. By the way, that's another thing that you're going to have to go through, of course, when we talk about that there in this armament video, so stick around for that video in the future. The thing is this right here. If you have sheriff's departments and deputies instead of city police officers, what they now become is elected officials, which means you can hold them accountable every 2 to 4 years. Like if they fuck up on the job, you can simply vote them out. You can remove them. You can call for special election. Also, something else, too, if you get a good sheriff, they can remove bad cops or bad police officers. And by the way, this is strictly for small towns, medium-sized towns, and districts. This right here is what I'm talking about here. This way they become elected officials. Also, something else, too, like I said before, the sheriff has got a much more intimate relationship with the actual officers themselves. They can actually properly grade them, if you guys are kind of picking up what I'm saying. Another thing, too, what we just saw in Uvalde. Dude, the cops took a long time. I mean, Brandon Tatum can come out here and simp for his brother and all the hell he wants. It does not change the fact that they did screw up in that instance. And guys, I'm not one of those guys who is against the police. I mean, I've actually spoken out for the police, and I view police as absolutely necessary. But I think bigger city departments need them a little bit more than small town police departments. Also, something else too. then the only reason why you keep the law enforcement in place so that way they can secure scenes for first responders like firefighters, and of course they can get to you because they're trained to actually do stuff like that. I mean, imagine not having somebody around to give you CPR if you're dying, if you have an actual heart attack. So, yeah, I don't think I want the cops being the only people who have guns. I think that is absolutely stupid, especially looking at 2020, how they basically allowed these cities to burn, and yet at the same time they were enforcing bullshit, unconstitutional mass edict at the behest of a freaking fat-ass liberal Karen. Guys, this right here is where I'm going to end the video at. You see, gun deaths have got more or less to do with culture. You see, we've always had crime. America has always had crime in this country. It's always had crime in its history. However, school shootings and things of that nature there and mass shootings, they became more prevalent in the 90s. Okay, I'm pretty sure a lot of us remember Columbine. If you're old enough to be my age, you remember Columbine. Some of us will remember Virginia Tech. Some of us will remember, obviously, we remember Parkland, remember all the other shooters, San Bernardino, for example. I mean, Pulse nightclub. A lot of these shootings occur because somebody's got some serious problems, some definitely serious mental problems, and a lot of that's got to do with culture. Now, guys, we're going to be discussing culture a lot more in the next few parts. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and preview the next part for you guys, which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and do tonight because I'm going to release both videos tomorrow, so make sure you guys stick around. In the next video, I'm going to go ahead and dive more into the actual statistical argument, why it is that handguns are more prevalent in these shootings. I'm also going to be talking about the stats and how they remain pretty stable. It's got more to do with culture. And I'm also going to be talking about the race angle in that actual video as well. The following video after that right there, I'm going to be discussing the disarmament argument that people like to say that, oh man, we're going to take away your guns. I'm going to explain to you guys why it is in that video right there. And of course, the following video, which by the way, I may merge the two together, why disarmament for the most part is an absolute impossibility. Now guys, let me go ahead and say this one last thing. Obviously we know this right as culture. We know everything starts at home. We know that parents need to get involved with their kids, but let me go ahead and end the note on this right here. If you pass an assault weapons ban, I want to go ahead and say this right now. The only thing it would do is just ban weapons off the shelves. You've got over 400 million guns in this country. You've got more guns than people, and I highly doubt they're even going to pass a ban because they are so non-specific as in what they want to ban. They're saying AR-15, but it could be that they may be coming after semi-automatic weapons itself. Also, something else too, when bans come into play, people just buy more weapons. It almost feels to me like maybe they're trying to fuel it for something much, much bigger. One of the guys in my comment section, one of my subscribers, brought this point up to me about the possibility of gun control being worldwide. Don't worry, we will be talking about that in the video about disarmament. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section, and I will see you guys later.
You see, that right there is why nobody's going to invade the mainland in this country, okay? They're not. I'm going to tell you they're not, all right? It's not because of the military. Don't get me wrong, they're a bunch of badass motherfuckers, okay? But there's a difference. They have to follow certain wartime rules and rules of engagement and everything else, and orders and bureaucracy from the politicians, right? The American citizen, the American gun owner, the largest freestanding army in the world, we don't have to follow that shit, and we won't follow that shit. You set foot on our land, we will light your ass up like a goddamn Christmas tree in December, okay? You feeling me? All right? You got a bunch of citizens in this country who are well-armed, well-trained in those arms, and know the terrain. People in the plains, the Midwest, the frickin' mountains. I mean, come on. Fuck around and find out, motherfuckers. Shit.